So recently there's been this trend going all over social media of people converting from religion to religion or even atheist religion. For example, all I've seen is like Judaism converting to Christianity, Islam converting to Christianity, or even atheists converting to Christianity. And I think it's an amazing thing. But the thing that upsets me the most is seeing Christians convert to Islam because Jesus warned us about that. He told us, listen, there will be false prophets after me that will deceive many, which to me, it describes Islam itself as they listen to Prophet Muhammad. They believe in Jesus, but Prophet Muhammad is like their guy as they believe he was sent here by God to preach for him while completely ignoring Jesus' teachings. So I'm trying to convince you to convert to Christianity, or if you are on that fence, to do a little bit more researching to figure the two out between Christianity and Islam, because they make it sound like it's the same thing, but they are completely on opposite sides of the spectrum. So let's talk about Jesus first, which, by the way, in Christianity, Jesus is God, and it's because of what he was able to do in flesh. For one, he was a perfect man and sinless, as described in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21. He was able to live a life without sin. No regular person is able to do that besides God himself in human flesh. And on top of that, we as humans struggle with forgiving people, especially even the littlest things. But while Jesus was being crucified, as described in Luke chapter 23, verse 34, he said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they were doing. I, as a person, I don't think I could ever bring myself to do that. I even get upset over the littlest things and hold grudges against people, but he was able to forgive them for it. And then Jesus also performed many miracles while living in life. For example, he healed a blind man as described in John chapter 9 verse 6 through 7. The best doctors and surgeons in the world can't do that, but Jesus was able to do it with saliva and mud. And he even healed the dead. He brought back the dead as described in Luke chapter 7 verse 14 through 15 when he said, young man, I say to you, get up. And this dead man sat up and Jesus gave him back to his mother. Scientists have been trying to figure out for decades now how to do that without creating like a zombie, but they have failed to do it. While Jesus was able to just tell them to get up, and they got up. And his biggest miracle that most people know about was the time he turned water into wine, as described in John chapter 2, verse 9 through 10, when he simply snapped a finger and there's wine now instead of water. And on top of that, why do we believe he's God? Well, on top of all these miracles, Jesus even said that he is God, as described in John chapter 10, verse 30. I and the Father are one. He told us in advance that like he is God in human form, in human flesh. Now, Prophet Muhammad, the guy that Islam believes that like was sent from God himself, also known as Allah. Let's look at how he lived his life. For one, he had multiple wives. That's a huge no. You don't do that in religion. You have one wife that was created for you by God, as described even in Genesis, that the missing rib is for you. And even one of his wives, or even a 6-year-old girl named Aisha, who it wasn't an official marriage till she turned 9, a very questionable thing, for especially coming from somebody who claims to be the prophet of God himself, and then even led and participated in multiple wars. God is a very peaceful person. He doesn't want people just going at wars over the littlest things, but he led them. That really speaks volume about him as a person as well. Now let's take a look at the Bible compared to the Quran, more specifically Sharia law. In the Bible, Jesus says to love and show kindness to non-Christians, as it's described in Matthew chapter 5, verse 44. While the Quran, it commands those to kill those who aren't Muslim in the Al-Tawbah chapter 9, verse 5. While Christianity, if you're not Christian, we still respect you, we still love you, and we hope that you come to Christianity, while the Quran says you will tax them, and if they refuse to submit, you will kill them. Well, Jesus even, let's look at mistakes too made by humans. And Jesus emphasizes forgiveness for mistakes, for things, as described in Matthew chapter 18, verse 21 through 22, while in the Quran and in Sharia law, as it's like amputation for theft. if you steal something, your right hand will be amputated, according to Sirah Almeida, chapter 5, verse 38. And if you commit adultery, it's capital punishment immediately, as also described by Surah in your chapter 24, verse 2. And then here in Christianity, it's okay to question the Bible, as it all makes sense anyway. Someone can easily explain it to you. While in Sharia law, or in the it's completely illegal. Criticizing or denying any parts of the Quran is punishable by death, according to Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 217. And on top of that, let's also look at like the world we know of as today, to the current standings of Christians and countries. Where around the world, a Christian country is usually a very developed country. It runs the world. For example, America, you have the UK, a very, very strong nations, very developed. And then if you look at Muslim countries, they're third world nations because of things like the Sharia law and Islam, because like Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. It's like when we as countries follow him, we figure life out and we develop from there. And you can even look at current Muslim countries prior to the Islam revolutions. For example, Iran. They were a very beautiful country developing. They were just very subpar to America until the Islamic Revolution happened. Now it's like a third world country compared to us today. So if you are on the fence or looking at religions, come to Christianity. And if you are a Christian looking to convert to Islam, don't, I promise, please look more into it, as they are two completely opposite sides of the spectrum in what they say. This is just very little of what I can show you. I promise you do more research.